Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Let's get dangerous.
All right, we are back. We are here, and it is what it is. He's like, move the mic out the way. Let them see my pretty face. So, gentlemen, how has the week been?
Eventful.
I know before the show you were talking about a show that I have no clue what you guys were talking about, because I was watching what some people might think is garbage, but I kind of got a kick out of watching like 2 seasons of it.
What's that?
It is called That 90s Show. It is it is the further adventures of That 70s Show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as good as the original.
Right.
It's entertaining.
I still love my Red Foreman.
Yeah. I would watch a show with just Red and Kitty alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of Kitty, the actress.
Poor Kitty.
Did you watch the 3rd episode of Agatha All Along? Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Me too.
I haven't started that yet.
I think it's well written.
Yeah.
The pacing seems really good too. So I mean, I'm enjoying it.
I think they put more work into the writing than about anything I've seen lately from them, which is good because they should. It's
which wouldn't take a lot, but
well, yeah. But each episode is kind of just sort of the same format of WandaVision. Each episode kind of has that nod to a tropish kind of show, not necessarily the old ones, the old comedies that WandaVision was based on, but I like that they're continuing that. Because this was really like the Real Housewives episode tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For this week. So.
But dark.
Oh, dark. Yeah. Rightly so. It's very dark.
I do wonder if they're going to get darker. Because, it was borderline kind of creepy, some of the things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they're going to go push it further as the series progresses.
With it winding up its final episode on October 30th, I imagine. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's their Halloween offering for this year, so I think.
Yeah, we don't know. You might get what was it called? Werewolf by Night in 3D. it went from black and white to color, and now it's going to be in 3D.
There's Elaine. Speaking of lycanthropy.
Hello.
Sorry.
She goes up in her own little world, and she doesn't realize she's on a screen. It's like I saw her come in. I'm not going to say nothing.
No, I'm sorry. For some reason, my laptop did not want to start this today. It was very upset, and then for some reason, I can't find us on YouTube.
Oh.
I'm on YouTube on my phone, and I'm not finding us live. Maybe let me hit visit the channel.
Oh, I know why.
Are we not live?
No, we are live on YouTube, but it's on my other channel. It's on the gaming channel.
Oh,
Oh,
It's on my gaming channel.
holy
So
crap.
I'm confusing all my gamers now.
Yes, not to mention, people I've been bugging about. You haven't been watching the show. You have not been watching the show.
The good thing about this is that my gaming channel has a lot more subscribers
oh, good.
Okay.
than the comic stuff. So you never know. You never know. This might be a happy accident.
Okay, but
I
I
just
can't.
happen to look at the icon. It's like, oh, where are you, YouTube? We're just not on the normal channel.
Okay.
And Donna was able to find. Everybody else was able to find it. But then again, that's because of Clyde's link.
Yeah.
Speaking of
well,
which, like I said, Donna was able to find us. So she said,
Hi,
don't
Donna.
forget to like and share. And
Hold
Lissy
on.
is here.
Missy.
Hey, Lissy.
Everybody's green. And there's Carl. I got lost. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize it. It's like this month has been full of amateur mistakes on my part as far as producing.
Well, the month's pretty much
We
over,
had
so
the thumbnail incident, and now this. Yeah, I was like, wait, we were not on YouTube. I was looking at, yeah, we're on YouTube, but not on the right station.
Let's jump. Okay. It won't let me in. For some reason, my account. Oh, okay. There we go. Hold on.
Follow the links from Dad's page.
Okay.
Yes. For people who don't
Okay.
know what the link is, let me go ahead and do this here.
Okay. There are only so many things this will let me do on my phone because I'm sort of in visitor mode. It wants me to sign in again, and that means, I got to pull out all my stuff, and I'm not happy.
oh, Disney didn't like me signing in today.
Oh, yeah.
You need to verify this device. I'm like,
You do. Yeah. And
okay.
also, by the way, while we're talking about it, here are different ways that you can increase your subscriptions to Disney Plus with this and Disney Plus with that and Disney Plus with that. And I'm like, give me a break. If you're going to hit me with ads, just hit me with ads. Don't make me sign in and jump through hoops all over again just to be verified, because this is the same login I've used for like 3 years now. And
Then they got a deal now, which confuses me. It's Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max.
Mhm.
I'm like, how does that work? Who's going to buy who soon, I wonder?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
up there, it's like, what happens if you have a Max account and a
Yeah,
Disney Plus
because I
account?
have my because I've Cricket, I have Max through Cricket. They gave, as part of my phone deal, they gave me Max. But yeah, my oldest, half the time he wants to use PayPal there because it's my PayPal account that he's on. He'll try to sign into PayPal and they'll suddenly go, oh no, you have to verify it's you.
Mhm.
And
He does that all the time for me.
yeah, and unfortunately he has to use like my credentials for that.
So we were talking about, before the show, we were talking about Agatha all along and the old man. I did go ahead and watch the first episode of The Penguin.
Oh, how'd you
I
like that?
haven't.
I enjoy watching. It's kind of got that Sopranos and superhero vibe about it.
It's like if Batman met the Sopranos, but Batman's not there.
And I really do like Colin Farrell. I really enjoy watching him do this character. I mean, he has to change physically to do it, and it's such a different kind of character than I've seen him do. So I'm enjoying it on that level. I don't know about the Batman part to it. I have still not watched all of the movie The Batman. So
Oh, that's a slow burn, Clyde.
I know.
And on top of it, it's just dark.
Oh,
You
yeah.
start to wonder if your
It's
TV
very
is off your TV.
gritty.
Mhm.
It's
a
very
very
gritty.
Yeah.
it is very gritty, but it's also it's very much the because as Struggle Nation, who I sometimes watch when they do their reaction videos, said this is supposed to, they're supposed to be saying Gotham is a cesspool, which is what they did in Batman Begins. They described Gotham as a cesspool. And it's like, well, you can't give Hollywood glam to a cesspool. It's got to be dark and gritty. They're dropping F-bombs everywhere. I'm not sure how Batman's going to fit into this, but this is definitely like, it's like if the Sopranos were a bunch of black guys. this is, and they lived in Gotham. This is where they would be, the girlie who'd been in Arkham. That was a trip.
Mhm.
That was a trip, but
She's scary. She's
Oh.
a scary lady.
oh, she is like, somebody. I think she's someone went on a very unfortunate date with.
Mm.
And that's how they got her. But it was a good scene, and it shows you that this penguin, Pharaoh is making this his penguin. This is not Danny DeVito's penguin. This is not Burgess Meredith's penguin. This is his penguin. And I wasn't sure if he could do the accent, but dang, and like I said, because when you think of Colin Farrell and then you think of this character he's portraying, they are so at opposite ends of the spectrum in regards to what he's normally done. And it's like he's doing a great, I actually enjoyed it.
Mhm. Yeah, I did
Much
too.
better than
It's nice.
Agatha All Alone, which I did not watch this week.
I still haven't watched that either, but I do have to say this. I have not watched The Penguin, but I will agree that the Batman is a slog to get through because of the grittiness.
Mhm.
And I will also say this. It is the closest thing that you're probably going to get to the Hush story than anything else.
That's probably true.
Probably, yeah.
It's probably going to be the closest thing that you get to Hush.
The Batman is the one with the vampire boy in it, right? Robert Patterson is playing Bruce Wayne Batman. Okay,
But
I have not
he
watched.
doesn't sparkle this time.
No,
that's good, 'cause-
He doesn't sparkle. He himself was not bad.
Hmm?
It's just the way that they portrayed everything was so much of a slog. Because I truly think that whoever wrote this movie did not truly understand how to do the Riddler.
Yeah, the Riddler was kind of off for me.
They never saw Jim Carrey or Frank Gorshin do the Riddler. I mean,
I'm sure they did.
They're very good examples of the Riddler.
For a grim and gritty Riddler, you have to go through the actor who played him on Gotham. That would be something that you want as far as a Riddler.
But I'm saying it's
highly intelligent.
Riddle me this. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. We have enough source material of Riddlers that someone could have, sat down with a team of writers or whatever and watched it and went, okay, this, and then the rest we're gonna work with the actor on how to suss it out. It's not like they had to make him up out of thin air. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I don't think they made him up, just didn't know what to do with him. Because again, one of the key things about Riddler is that he always tries to prove that he's smarter than Batman.
That he is the smarter, that he can outthink him. It's in some ways it's kind of like a Holmes Moriarty thing that's going on in his head. And if I can, if I can think of that, surely what did they get did they take 1,000 chimpanzees and lock them in the room? I mean,
Might have been AI.
No, it probably could have been AI. It could have been. We don't know about early days of AI in Hollywood as of yet. So it could have been.
but what I'm saying is when it's like this whole what was it, Nerd of the Rings is doing reaction videos to the second season of Rings of Power, and they titled this one, "Did they not read the book?" Because it's like there is so much going on that has nothing to do with the source materials,
And to Carl's point, I agree. It was gritty, but it was not as bleak and dark and gritty like the Batman the movie.
No, Joe, you mentioned Hush. I bought a new pop this week, and it was a Hush pop.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to show it to you here.
Okay.
All right. Go. Okay. You got it.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, he's adorable.
He's so cute.
He's a bitty pop, and he comes in this little case, which covers most of him up.
Mm-hmm.
That's more case than needed.
But you could put another pop in there with him. Another bitty pop. So I have an extra Jawa.
Oh.
There we go. Batman and the Jawa.
I just want to boop the snoots.
Yeah, there it says Hush. I was like, well, I guess it's Hush. I don't know.
That's a good combo too, because Batman comes in and all of his stuff in his cave is gone. What the hell?
And the Jawa says,
They're outside trying to sell it back to him.
Alfred, trying to sell it to Alfred.
But that's a giant pity. It's only worth what's it. How are you talking about $10,000? That's only what's it.
These are all those itty bitty pops, or bitty pops is what they call them.
I have not seen those before.
Yeah, they usually come in a 5-pack. Now, I will not pay full price for these.
Okay.
All the ones I've gotten, except for singles, I've caught on clearance for $5.
Ooh.
So it's usually a 4-pack. That's what it is, and the fourth one's always a mystery, and you can't see what it is. So this one's got.
Okay, there you go. Got the glare. You got
Yeah, nice.
So the mystery of all the Mandalorian ones is a Grogu pop.
Oh.
And you don't know which one it'll be, but it comes with a case. But they want $15 for this.
Oh, wow.
And you saw how small they are. I mean, they're tiny.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can get a full-size Funko Pop at Five Below for $5. They've got Princess Leia's for $5. Well, they're rare.
The case pops off. But, I mean, they're cute, and I caught these for $5. And then you could find the singles as well for, I think they're like $3 at some places.
Ooh.
Five Below has them for $5 for some reason, though. But
Just
so I won't
Five
buy them
Below.
there either.
Because
I'll
it's
buy
Five
them at
Below.
Walmart for $3. I'm like,
I don't have any Walmarts near me, so I will probably have to go to Five Below.
Target has them too. And where else have I seen them? But yeah, they got all kinds of different ones now. They've become really popular. They got I bought Jennifer the Harry Potter ones because she loves Harry Potter.
Aww.
But now they've got like a bitty pop display you can get, and they've got a Batman. It's shaped like the bat emblem, and little bitty shells on it to put them on. They've got the Death Star with little bitty shells, and they've got Hogsworth. Hogs, whatever.
Hogsworth.
Yeah, that
Hogwarts.
thing.
Hogwarts.
It's about this big. It comes with 2 characters she doesn't have.
Oh.
And it's about $50.
30.
Oh.
30.
But it does come with little bitty slots for like 30 different of the bitty pops. So she might end up getting that, especially when I find it on clearance. I'm all about the clearance.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hey, those are the parents I grew up with. It's yeah, it's all it's. Can we get it on clearance?
Mm-hmm.
You either had to get it on clearance or put it on layaway.
Yeah, some of those are worth as much as the full size pops.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they got because she's got Dobby. Yeah, Dobby. So I think he was like $30 now selling on eBay for a
Wow.
little thing like this. I'm like, I won't pay
Hello,
over
Bobby.
Yeah, but they're cute. They're cute.
I'm just gonna bequeath mine to people in my will. It's like I have no money to leave you, but you may have my doctor number 10.
And as I'm running out of room for stuff, switching to smaller pops is a better option.
Yeah.
'Cause
Provided you keep them places where they're at eye level, because you step on something like that, it's not gonna be fun.
Oh no. They're up there, and I've got to find something to replace this. Because
no more shelf dominators testing.
No. Yeah, the whole other side of it is blown out. So this panel on the other side is what broke. It just totally gone. So it doesn't have the stability it used to.
This is what happens when you let your models do, gun
Arms
deals.
deals.
Yeah, when you're not watching. It's like you need to instill some discipline in these things.
Yeah. But I can reach it much easier now, too.
That to Destro. You can't do that to Destro.
Why can't I?
Because that's what he does. He builds weapons.
I don't even have to open the door to get it in
no
now.
matter what.
There you go.
Now, if it was the Crimson Twins, that would have been a little bit different. I believe Tomat Sensei would agree with you.
They were both in there, too.
I think
they were in there with Destro doing the arms deal with my CIA characters.
I think Destro
is an arms deal gone wrong.
I think Destro in the middle of the night when nobody's around sneaks off to some, den where some chickie dressed in leather pretending to be the Duchess.
Beritus, I have no time for this. I must get this ready for Cobra coming.
I did get another clearance deal this week too.
Ooh.
Only because I met a friend and he had picked it up for me a while back, and we finally hooked up. After I was shot at on 270, but we talk about that later.
What?
First,
whoa! Back the hell up!
No. This is more important. So this is the tank driver from The Mandalorian with the Din Djarin removable mask.
Ooh.
But see, Din Djarin's head's not on here anymore.
What did you do?
Because Din Djarin's head is now on a Mandalorian body.
Yay! Look at that. Look at that.
He got this for like $2 for me. I was like, yes, because I just need that head. That's all I want from it.
Yeah.
And if you guys ever watched 2.5 Men, I don't know how well you could see this. I swear
can see it.
It looks like a grown-up Jake.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh!
I can't unsee it now.
I kept looking at it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee it.
Oh, Pascal's in the new Gladiator, the Gladiator 2 that's coming out. It's not clear from the trailer whether he's a good guy or a bad guy.
I couldn't tell who was a good guy and who was a bad guy.
Yeah, I was supposed to say
the whole trailer.
All you know is there's going to be some wild action and somebody actually screams at a baboon. That was interesting.
So after work Tuesday, because I go in the office on Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm coming home 270, heading east back to Illinois. I go under one overpass. I'm going to meet my buddy at an Ollie's. That's on my way home.
That does not exist in the city limits.
And I got my window down, and I'm in the middle lane, and my window's down because I'm smoking a cigarette, and which my doctor says you should really stop. I said, I know.
Yes.
And then I hear this loud crack. which I thought that sounds like a gunshot or something would backfire, but no, that's a lot louder. And I'm looking around, I don't see anything, but I was close enough to the median that the interstate going the other way, someone could have shot at me. And my ear rang for over an hour. How loud that crack was.
Man.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure a gun was faced my way and fired, because I've shot lots of guns. I know what they sound like. It wasn't a backfire. I was hoping it was a backfire. I was hoping my tire blew out or something, but it was nothing like that. So I get to Ollie's. I start looking around my car and make sure there's no bullet holes in it.
So are you running for president? You just haven't told anyone?
Not yet. Not yet. I might. Maybe I should.
Because you're not Haitian, as far as I can tell, unless you've been hiding that from us as well.
Not this week, no.
Okay.
Please tell me that you're running up under the none of the above ticket.
I would. I don't think we have a candidate worth voting for, but either way. So I don't know how I would run.
Okay. Well, somebody's shooting. It's fast and low. Is the easiest. If there's gunfire around, you want to you want to be duck and cover.
Yeah.
I always try to keep track of our friends in places with lots of big storms coming in. So for our friends down in Florida,
I got to check on what's her name, the one that I sometimes advertise for. That has her gaming channel out there on Twitch. She's in that region.
Ooh, okay.
And where's
I was going to ask you too, Eric. Did everybody come through the earthquake all right of your drawing show in Japan?
Yeah, everything is fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Everybody was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Clyde, we're in the range of the hurricane to get like up to 40 to 50 mile per hour winds tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
As it moves. Yeah, as it moves. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a friend. I was talking to him actually yesterday, and he's in Miami. He wasn't worried about it.
Yeah, he's too far inland.
Yeah, he didn't care. He's been down there before. Usually they have their hurricane parties when all the power goes out. They all go out and grill and stuff, and so the meat doesn't spoil, and the whole neighborhood gets together. So Jennifer asked me, she goes, well, is he going to leave town? I was like, he's not going to leave town. I mean, he never has. I've never known him to leave town, so he'd be fine done.
People down there are too ornery to leave town.
Yep.
What about crocodiles in the basement?
He does have a, well, I guess it's not really a river. What would you call it? Those a canal. He's got a canal right behind his house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he has seen crocodiles. Or alligators, whichever. Florida has both, don't they?
I think they're more gators than crocodiles, but it's gators.
Yep.
I just remember during the pandemic, they were showing, footage of gators making their way down the street. And thinking,
walking just like regular people down the block.
Hopefully it doesn't turn into a gator cane. Like a Sharknado.
Flying everywhere. We should. Hey, we should post. We should.
Yeah.
You know what? We should get hold of the guys from the Sci-Fi Channel. Hey, we got an idea. Gator cane. It's a hurricane with gators.
And we could also throw in the cocaine bear angle with.
Yep.
No, we will have our versus series. We will start our versus series: Gator Cane versus Sharknado.
Oh, and we can even go further back and pull the remaining stars that are alive from Happy Days to be in it.
Oh,
yes.
Goodness. I'm not sure if Henry Winkler would feel okay about that.
I don't know. He does some weird stuff sometimes.
He was on the last season of Vox Machina. Critical Role.
See, I did not know that. I was like, all up here thinking to myself, it's like if Henry Winkler could do a garbage comedy show called Children's Hospital, he would pretty much do anything.
Well, he did. He was in The Waterboy as the coach.
But that makes sense for a Henry Winkler.
Principal in Scream.
Oh,
But
that's
that still ain't
right.
hit me. Have you watched Children's Hospital?
No,
No.
no.
That
No.
was not the stereotypical Henry Winkler type role that he played.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
I like what he did when he was a part of Arrested Development as the lawyer. What was the other modern one? It was a couple more modern ones, but Children's Hospital, it was just like for him to be, the president of the hospital staff
Oh wow.
and just be kind of like that type of ruthless. And it's like it's not just like maniacal ruthless, it's more like that if I could say idiot savant meets corporate greed type ruthless.
Wow.
Mm.
That's scary.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just like
that's
everything he
scary.
did just did not make sense, but it was just so messed up that it's just like it worked.
Speaking of animation, I just watched Twilight of the Gods on Netflix.
Mm.
I enjoyed it. It is not made for children.
Mm.
There are naked penises abounding
Oh
in
wow.
this series and a lot of sex. But it is also incredibly violent. Um this woman Sigrid, who her father is the king of a giant clan. Her mother is human. And so she spent a good part of her life growing up with her father's people. And then she went off she wanted to learn who her mother's people is. And she meets a man because she's been trained as a warrior, so she's good. And she helps this guy in a battle. He falls in love with her. She falls in love with him. They decide they're going to get married. On their wedding day, the god Thor shows up. And he's looking for Loki after first threatening to rape her. And they're like, Loki's not here. You don't know what to tell you, dude. Loki ain't here. And he doesn't want to hear that. And they're like, dude, Loki's not here. Just you should go somewhere else, wherever Loki is, because Loki's not here. He decides, I don't want to hear that. So he slaughters everyone in her father's village,
Oh.
including the children. She's taking the children. They tell her, take the kids, put them to safety. She takes all the children of the village and puts them in this little underground bunker. He brings lightning down on this bunker so that it is nothing but a pool of magma. So he slaughters. He doesn't just kill her father and all the adults. He slaughters all the children.
How Anakin of him.
She then, and her groom, they get knocked into some rubble, and the god Balder tells Thor, everybody's dead. You've killed them all. We haven't found Loki. There's no need to stay here. So they leave, and then these two come up. She swears vengeance on Thor. She now wants to kill Thor. That is like her only thing, because this was her wedding day, and they never even got to complete their vows. They were in the middle of the vows, just about ready to complete them when this all happens. And it's an interesting story because it's not your normal Thor and Loki pairing. Anybody who knows about the old Norse mythology knows Loki, of course, is a frost giant. And he and Odin are like sworn blood brothers. So the whole thing is they're not supposed to kill each other. Loki can do things that causes a lot of damage to the Aesir, but a lot of the stuff he does also benefits them. So it's like, oh, we got our butts kicked, but oh, we got this. So it's a weird thing. And she's gathering allies, and There are battles. It's a very interesting look at the old Norse world, and it's that where the natural meets the supernatural type of thing, and I loved it. I the ending kind of left me, well, geez, are you guys doing another season? Because this didn't take us where I thought we were supposed to go. Um, and there is some heartbreaks, characters that were lost in ways that were real, it's like, oh man, that person died. And then this happened. So it made their death even worse. But all in all, it was definitely where every few minutes you were having a WTF moment, and interspersed, because one of the things, anybody who knows about the old Germanic tales and stuff, one of the ways that these people, because, long nights, they used to entertain each other with telling stories. And that becomes integral in this story, is people are also telling stories. So it's not something, I love the fact that it's not something somebody came up with on the fly. It's one of those series where, yeah, there's sex, there's violence, but some real thought went into this. People paid attention to the source material and said, hey, we're going to do our little take on this. But you get that sense of culture. This is her giants clan culture. This is another giants clan culture. This is the dwarves culture. So you get all these different feelings for who these people are and the cultures that make them. And I really enjoyed it. It was first. I'm hoping that Netflix will do more. I'm also looking forward to the next season of Arcane, because that looks like it's gonna be insane. It is just.
It sounds better than the last Norse show I watched on Netflix, which was Ragnarok, which is a Norwegian dubbed series. And now, sadly, I watched all 3 seasons.
Okay.
I was like, this is so bad, I had to keep watching it.
I think I got maybe a third of the way through the first season of Ragnarok.
It's a modern day setting, and these kids are like avatars to the Norse gods, and then there's ice giants in it too, who are evil factory owners and stuff. It's the kid at one time, he's got the powers of Thor, but he's trying to make his own hammer, and it was really corny. But if you like corny stuff.
Cheesy? Is it cheesy?
It's cheesy.
Oh,
it's Norwegian too, so everything, foreign shows are a little different. They always are.
It's like extra flavored Cheetos cheese.
Yeah, it was. It's better than that weird superhero mock-you show that was on HBO, whatever that was. What if they had Diamond Dallas Page in it? Was it? Is like the Batman character or something? Yeah, whatever that was. Yeah, that's better.
Diamond Dallas Page as a Batman-like character. Oh my goodness, that's just bad.
Oh, I think I just got another headache. Just thinking about it.
And that show I kept watching because it was just so bad too. Sometimes it's the car wrecks thing.
Yeah,
you have to watch
Waffle
the train
House
wreck.
is boarded up in Florida. That's a category red according to the index. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no. Oh.
Well, what's the name of that again? Making notes.
Not Ragnarok. That was the one you were talking about.
No, I think
Twilight of the Gods. Twilight of the Gods. It's like I said, it's really good. It's not a very famous cast, but the woman who does Sigrid I love her accent. I love the way she delivers her lines. It is she helps you get into this character, her conviction, her anger, her bitterness. Even when she's so hell bent on revenge, that she would rather give up the man she loves so that he'll live, and so that, because she knows that going into this she may not survive it, and she comes to that realization, oh, we're probably not going to come out of this. How do I, how do I fix it so he doesn't have to go with me? And at one point she kind of tells him, I don't care about anything else, I just want to get my revenge.
Wow.
But I love it because it's like there's the Valkyrie are interesting. They don't wear any clothes except the helmets and the wings. So it's an interesting take on the Valkyrie. But there is some great badass female fighting in here, and the transgender character that tells their story, and everybody has some great background story to tell, and they all come in to, and some of them I recognize from the old Norse legends. So, like I said, I enjoyed it because when I was a kid, I used to love reading those. I got into Thor and stuff. And so a teacher had said, oh, here's a book on some Norse mythology. And I think I was like 13, 14. So, it's the middle school cleaned up version of mythology. But it was still fun to read, Oh, and I have an update on Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because there's been some developments, haven't there?
Yeah,
what did he do
it's
now?
been interesting. The whole thing started. Boris Johnson, who used to be Prime Minister of Great Britain, one of the idiots that helped with that Brexit thing and kind of got ousted because during the pandemic, he got busted going to a party, even though, they were in lockdown. So he broke quarantine to go to a couple of parties. Anyway, Gaiman and his sister, who has a podcast, got into an argument about transgender folk. And she's been the one spearheading all of this as a way of, you don't agree with what I agree with, I'm going to get back at you. But some of the stories that have come out have been weird. One woman he was having an affair with, and she claims there were times when he wanted it, she didn't, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. One woman,
Was that the one that was living on his property, like the caretaker?
No, that one was a different. There's
Oh.
the woman that was 18 and his family was either in New Zealand or Australia at the time. She was 18. She was supposed to be babysitting for him and his wife. She claims that he attacked her while they were taking a shower naked together. Which I'm sitting there going, you got into a shower naked with the guy and you thought all he was going to do was scrub your back. Got it. So some of the stories that have come up, you're kind of sitting there you're kind of going, okay, this doesn't make a lot of logic. And then when I started looking into who had spearheaded this and why, it's like, okay, you know what? For the moment, until I get more info, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, until somebody brings me something and a little bit more info, because some of this kind of feels like it just doesn't, there's a lot of this that just kind of has a smell of, is this something real? Like one woman claims that she met him at his show. He took her to the back of a bus that had a bedroom in it. And then later, he supposedly left a message on her machine and offered her 30,000 pounds so she could go get therapy and feel better about this. And I'm like, okay, there's just, there's just things that keep coming up that you're going, okay, this story kind of sounds like it might be okay, but this story has so many holes in it, I could probably drive a Jeep straight through. So I'm like, okay, until I get more info, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Though if I meet him, I might go and kick him in the kneecaps. Like, if you just kept that thing to yourself.
No matter, it is starting to affect. Like he's on three or four different projects, film projects that are based on his work have been suspended or put on hiatus.
They
A
didn't
couple
mention
of them.
his name on the Sandman 2 trailer at all.
Yeah.
Or the teaser, they just dropped his name completely from it.
It's he's suffering from it. There are projects that he's connected to that have been
the biggest one, probably Good Omens season 3, has been stopped.
It's scuppered.
Production.
Amazon's like, nope, sorry, kaput. It's not until this is settled. It's not going to happen, and it may not even happen even after that.
Yeah,
it's like
I hate to see
it's
it.
still hard to, not really hard to swallow, but it's just like the simple fact that his own kin is going on this. I'm about to cancel you because you disagree with me.
It's not his kin.
But
It's
the
Boris
thing about
Johnson's sister. It's Boris Johnson's sister. It's her podcast. She had said something negative about transgenders. I guess she had him on the podcast and they disagreed. And the Johnsons aren't the smartest of people, so I think he made her sound like an idiot. And it kind of makes, there's a great British film called Atonement. Keira Knightley, James McAvoy, and I forget who the little girl was. A situation happens where a little girl accuses McAvoy's character of raping someone. And he and Knightley at that time they're very close. They're looking to get married, but this accusation comes up, and he ends up having to go into the military, and she ends up alone. And it's an interesting film because they're asking the woman who was the little girl, she's now grown up, and she's giving the story and everything. And you find out at the end that the story she's told is not the truth, because she's saying, oh yeah, and then after all this time they came back together and stuff. And the couple who've been interviewing her as they leave, they said they tell the truth, and you find out that he died on the battlefield. And the Knightley character has died a few years. In other words, she's been giving herself this fantasy that, it all came out right. And the story she tells people that gets him in trouble is a total fabrication on her part, because she's angry. He's in love with Keira Knightley's character, and this little girl has a crush on him. And the fact that she sees them together and gets angry. And then because the situation happens to this other girl, she says, oh, he did that. And ends up ruining lives. And of course, the girl who was involved in it doesn't speak up because she had some things of her own that she was trying, all the people have these things to hide, and the people who are really involved don't step forward and say what the truth is. So it's a British movie, Carl. It's not. But and it kind of has that, like, she's angry at Gaiman. She wants to get back at him. And if she has to fabricate these situations, she'll do that just to get back at him. And it's sad, because it's like, this isn't just embarrassing this man. He may lose his publisher, the
Lose his
people
livelihood and everything that the empire that he built could be
that
gone because of that.
Anansi Boys, I don't know. They've been releasing they've done a comic book version of his book Anansi Boys, and it's not certain if it'll continue.
Mhm.
So, you know, there is a lot of things that this man has that, you know, this has affected it's affected his career, but it's also, yeah, he shouldn't have, if the women that he had affairs with, if that's true, that means he's been sleeping around on his wife, which is bad enough, you know. But the whole thing of, it's like, it just kind of feels like, well, the fact that he's having an affair isn't enough. We have to make it even worse. You know, it kind of, it smells of, what's his name from Saturday Night Live, who became a senator, Al Franken. Yeah, kind of feels like Al Franken.
Well,
What he did was
it couldn't be
stupid.
as bad. I would think it couldn't be as bad as Clayton Crane.
You know, but it kind of feels like Al Franken, because yeah, what he did with the picture was stupid. But then all this other stuff that they heaped on him. And then as soon as he left, because he felt, you know, I need to do what's best for the country and my fellow Democrats in the Senate, because this isn't going away. And he leaves. The thing is as soon as he was gone, all his accusers just sort of poof, went away. You know, this man's political career was basically shut down. And it's just, it's very sad. It's very sad. What he did, the picture was stupid, and he should have thought better. But to add this stuff that wasn't necessary just to destroy him, you know, it just really feels bad. And it's like, yeah, okay, he could have survived. It would have destroyed his marriage. It would have upset his kids. But it's like, you weren't happy with that. You want to destroy this man completely. And it's like, geez, why didn't you just go up and have somebody shoot him in the head?
Because that's traceable. That's the reason why. That's traceable. But again, that's the nature of the culture that we're in today with canceling, because of the simple fact that just because you don't agree, you put people in a situation where nobody else wanted to deal with.
Well, there are certain things.
It's sad.
If you're sitting there consistently making comments about pedophilia, yeah, I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to have to, I'm not interested in what you're creating. I don't want to have to deal with you. And if I was a woman, I just, as someone who has raised children and knows what that's like to be on the other end of that, you know, it would be like, okay, I'm going to avoid you. But this just feels, you know, this is like total character assassination. You know, I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to leave you alive so you can see all the devastation. You know, it's like, I just hope he's got money in the bank. You know, because this, unfortunately, it doesn't. Eventually, the smoke will clear and the truth will come out one way or the other. But in the meantime, it's not just him that's going to suffer from this. You know, it's his wife, it's his kids. You know, there's just, it reaches beyond him. And I feel really sorry for his family. You know, so I hope you guys have been good. You know, because
recently, yeah. And with that, I must go to the other show.
No. I made a
What
deal.
What are we drawing tonight, Eric?
We are drawing 2000 AD characters.
Ooh, who are you going to do?
We're going to try to avoid doing Judge Dredd, because there is many other characters.
Right. So who are you contemplating?
I'm thinking about Nikolai Dante.
I don't know him.
He's from the 27th century, and he's finds out he's the descendant of the Romanovs.
Oh.
And the Romanov crest is an alien computer disguised as the crest that gives him special powers and a cyber blade and all. It looks really interesting. I want to read the book myself. It came out several years ago, but I might have to look for it because it looks pretty cool.
But I made a deal with Loki so you would stay.
No, I kind of half run the other one, so I got to get going.
But I sacrificed a dung beetle and everything.
Oh, well.
That's how it got played.
All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Have a good
All right.
show.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a book for this week.
I just reviewed a comic. I mean, I just reviewed animations.
Animation, yeah.
Yeah.
And my next one, they have a new Netflix has a new animated Terminator series
Ooh,
that I'm gonna take a look at this weekend.
okay.
So, and I will talk about that next week. That means it's all Clyde. It's Clyde's show. It's the Clyde show.
It's the Clyde show, but I will say this here. I will have an announcement this upcoming Saturday. So if you guys like what happened with the X-Men 97, there's something else coming down the pike for New York Comic Con.
Nice. Are you going? Okay. Are you going?
I haven't been since 2016. So no, I'm not going this year. But because of whatnot, there's going to be something similar happening. They made me aware of what the next thing is, and it may be pretty nice.
Ooh.
Good.
And it's also dealing with Marvel comics as well. So
okay.
I'll tell people more about it Saturday after on the From the Desk show, because it will be after the Whatnot show on that Saturday.
Okay.
So without further ado,
it's the Clyde show. It's the Clyde show. Here we go.
We're getting into that time of year where I'll be probably doing quite a few horror anthology type things, just because the comics industry, independents and everybody else has really put on put everything front and center of that sort of stuff. I don't know if it's just for the season, but I'm seeing a lot of it, and a lot of good stuff too. So not just an avalanche of stuff, but an avalanche of decent to excellent material. So this week, I'll go over some of the other things to start with, because it was it was not a huge week of every kind of comic book. Rifters is one series that I've been getting. That's the time travel, the inappropriate time travel type story. And this really got into a really heartfelt area of it I didn't expect. It's been a lot of just, started off being really, really the worst kind of people. What if they could time travel? And it became like a corporate thing and all. And then they tried to recover the timeline, and but always to the point of, absurdity. But this one had a heartfelt kind of message about it, and it was pretty decent. As this first series of it winds down, it was a nice way for it to go.
Yay.
The Power Fantasy, I picked up the first issue of it. I had read it. I had read it for Comics Beat, and then I also got a chance to get a physical copy of it. Boy, you talk about a dark. I mean, The Boys is one thing. This is darkness in a different fashion of supers who are. I think there are 6 entire super powered people in the world, and that's all that they can allow, because it would change life on Earth so much, or endanger all life on Earth. And so they are trying to self-govern themselves. They realize how dangerous it is. to have people of their caliber. And so they're trying to make it so that life can continue. It's a very intriguing concept. Wouldn't be everybody's cup of, but for superhero type or powered individual type um, uh, stories, but it is interesting and it is very well done.
Ooh.
Yep. We were talking. Okay, some of the stuff that you were talking about earlier, Elaine, about seeing the people that you've enjoyed their work, and then you see their very clay feet or clay legs, clay feet, and it just keeps climbing, that kind of stuff. I think that some of Kevin Eastman's fans may feel like that about Drawing Blood, because it's very much a story of how his career has gone with the Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But this is fictionalized, but he's writing it, and you can very easily see some of the things that he's been involved with, and some of the things that he's, you know, some of the things that have cost him fans and things are covered in this, and it's really getting it's. I've enjoyed it. I know a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans don't care much for it, um, but I'm not I'm not a big enough fan to feel offended by some of it or had my childhood destroyed by it. I guess you put it that way. Um, but this one is like, okay, this has been mostly of the past stuff, but now it's looking at things you're going, well, you should know better. It's fictionalized character, but it's kind of going down that way. It's a honest and truthful kind of look at fame, what it can do to people. So it's, I still hold it up as an interesting read. Now, if you like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you like the work that he did, or you feel like some of the things he did later hurts your reputation, the reputation that you had of him in your mind, and you may not want to get it, but I've enjoyed it so far.
My youngest is a turtle nut, so I think I will not have him read it. He's like a 4-year-old in some things, so I think I'll protect him from that.
Sure, that makes sense. I didn't care a whole lot for the first issue of this. I wasn't certain how they were delivering this to an older audience than what the cartoon was designed for. But the second issue is much more interesting, and I will stick with it for a while. This is the Defenders of the Earth series from Mad Cave. And it also has quite a bit to do with, it's got Flash Gordon, Mandrake, the Magician, Lothar, and the Phantom.
Yeah.
This deals with all of them. It's very even-handed as far as the spotlight for each of the characters, and this is an interesting Phantom issue. Interesting for all of them, but especially for the Phantom, I think. So it's not bad. The second issue is much better than the first one, I think, my own personal opinion. So that was a good read. The one that really surprised me and became one of my favorites of this week, the wind up on the Dick Tracy Mad Cave series. This is very much, it doesn't go as far as the Penguin, nor should it, as far as being a crime drama from a superhero or a comic strip point of view. But it does, it delivers on the crime, a more modern crime element take than I have seen. A lot of the Dick Tracy stuff has tried to keep one foot in the making fun of organized crime, like the original series did, but also be crime noir. This goes much further toward the darker, but in a good way.
Cool.
The spirit of a crime fighter working through the system to defend the people. This issue, this wind up of the series really delivers.
Do they still have the gadgets, like the phones that they
do?
Okay.
They don't go overboard with it, though. It's very reserved.
Okay.
So far. Now, if it continues on, that could be another element that gets expanded on. But this is more about the the whole element of somebody willing to step up and do what's right, even when the whole system is
Corrupt and against you.
difficult. Yeah, and yeah. So this was a surprise. I wasn't sure how this series would go, but and that's why another reason, because it's Mad Cave, and they started off wasn't certain, and I quickly liked it. That's why I'm giving the Defenders of the Earth the same kind of latitude, because they've proven that they can take that sort of it's different than the established version and make it work. I like that.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad Eric is gone, because he would give me all kinds of, and Joe may also give me difficulties about this.
I'll defend you, Clyde.
Okay.
Let me get my shield and
When
buckler.
we started the show, I had been looking at some of the work of Pornsec Peter Show, and he's made a name for himself. A lot of the things he
Oh.
writes is not my cup of tea,
Okay.
but he's made a name for himself, and he's gotten a lot of platitudes, and he's very lauded his work. And so I picked up the Manchurian #1, and it's sort of like a James Bond with a global, a more global, and especially Asian
Mhm.
element about it. And the best thing about this is he has done a lot of work to give you. We were just before the show, we were talking about the old man series, which is looking at kind of a latter day and aging James Bond element, and how global espionage has changed, but you still have the old guard. Okay. Well, this one does a lot to try to look at classic espionage, but how it works in today's world and globally and with a different focus. Um, it's very well done that way. It's very crafted. Wouldn't be a
Cool.
lot of people wouldn't care for it probably, but I will applaud it for the effort that he's gone to make this an interesting character and an interesting. I don't really know how modern global espionage works. I'm working with a character right now that um, I'm trying to make a character for my latest new pulp character who would have been there at the beginning of the things that evolved into James Bond. So I find it interesting that some of the choices he's made and the work that he's done to make this character.
You're making it sound like it's a modern day Saint or Man from Uncle.
Mhm.
I
You
like
can
the
say
cover.
that. Yeah. Yeah, the artwork is very nice. Let's see here. I'll show a few interior panels. It's very clean.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the back of my
So-
head, I can hear is down, 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 down,
Yeah.
down, down,
And yeah,
down.
he manages to preserve that, but we're really, we're digging into a whole other kind of espionage. So
I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing the theme of the Avengers.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about Steve. I was talking about Stephen Peele.
Now
Yes.
it's more
Avengers.
grounded. It's more grounded than them, but
Okay.
it's still
Okay.
very interesting. So good.
But
read this work.
I'm interested because as somebody who grew up on the Avengers, the Protectors, Man from Uncle, all of that.
Yeah.
That looks like it might be fun to read.
Yep. But it's a much more modern take. So be warned.
But
And
no,
why would I give you grief for that book? I wouldn't.
Well,
That's more my cup of tea type deal, to be quite
okay.
honest.
When we started the show, whatever, I can't remember what, The Good Asian was the
Okay.
series that wasn't everybody's cup of tea. And then his name was funny. The
Mhm.
creator's name is funny. I give him a lot of respect because he refused to westernize his name at a time when he's been in the game a while, and when everybody else was westernizing their name,
he did.
even though I mean, I got to tell you, if I was the guy's agent and Pornsack was his first name, I would probably have said the same thing at that time when he started out, that you might look for like a abbreviation or something. he's like, no, it's my name. I'm proud of it. It's my father's name. I'm not doing it. So, but
That's
we
all.
talked about
Nobody
that on
coming
the
up
show.
behind them going, be all right.
So now back to the whole horror anthology stuff. We have Creep Show coming out this week. Is pretty. This is volume 3, so it's been going a while. They're splitting it up into 2 stories an issue. Not bad. This is not a bad start to volume 3. I didn't think I have read better horror anthologies, but I have a very soft spot for Creep Show stuff because I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, the movie was fun.
Franchise. Yeah,
The
so
movie was fun.
that was good.
I
But
broke my asteroid.
so what I'm going to review though is same sort of a thing, but it is Goosebumps. It's R.L. Stine kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's the kind of thing that I think for this season, people that liked Goosebumps would get into just because of R.L. Stine. And this is R.L. Stine trying to remain relevant for the adults that started off as the kids that liked his Goosebumps series. I have mixed feelings about not just how relevant he still manages to make it, but also the form that at Boom Studios has allowed him to pursue this as coming out with series of trade paperbacks rather than individual issues for a miniseries. So, but it is the Graveyard Club Revenge Game issue number 1. So just to tell you a little bit, cover price is $9.99 because it is a trade paperback. The writer is R.L. Stine. The art is from Carola Borelli. Colors by Francisco Segala. Letters by Jim Campbell. The publisher is Boom Studios, and it is rated T14. So I wasn't going to invest in it, but my daughter was a big Goosebumps fan when she was young. And so I went ahead and got the physical issue mainly because I want to give it to her and see if she likes this version of R.L. Stine's supernatural takes.
The cover makes me think of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It does, doesn't it? And they have this cover, they have a version cover of it that I really, really liked.
Cool.
So yeah, but this is a very nice Halloween season cover, I think.
Yes.
Now the interior art, I'm aboard. I think it could have been better. That's just me though. It is very grounded, and I think that probably works for this kind of story because it's about kids that live in a community that is very focused. It's basically a community surrounded by graveyards, and that's where these kids played when they were little. So that's why they're a graveyard club. That's what they call themselves. Yeah. Goonies in a graveyard kind of a thing. Yeah. And it starts off, you got some he and she going on here that would, match teen memories for the kids that were Goosebumps fans.
Okay.
But it quickly becomes pretty horrific.
Oh no.
Things from the grave coming alive. So, or that's what they think at least. I have marked a few extra pages because it is a trade, so you get have a lot more material to cover here, but give you an idea of the aesthetic.
Yeah.
What did you start to say?
No, I was just going, yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. And we have some action. It's not just exposition, although quite a bit of story, but you have action.
Cool.
You have a decent payoff in this issue, I think, for the kind of thing that it is. And you get into the supernatural sort of elements. I also like the extras. We get some breakdowns of original art of how the project looked, how it was laid out, the panels and everything.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And then, very, very nice, we get a look at where they concentrated on each individual
Oh,
look
cool.
of
So,
the characters for this.
so we're also getting character art.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. So we will dive in here.
My birthday's in February.
All right. Legendary horror author. That's not a descriptor for everybody to be applied to everybody or to probably appeal to every fan of some horror authors. Boom Studios, I think that they're on point with it, especially when it comes to lauding R.L. Stein and his part of being at the helm of this new TPB, the Graveyard Club. Revenge Game #1 is their first TPB with these characters, these ongoing characters. Thanks to my daughter, ours was definitely a Goosebumps affiliated house when she was growing up.
Oh,
And she brought me along, thank goodness.
I raised two boys, so I sat through when we had access to Nickelodeon. I sat through Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark? And
she was a bigger fan. She was a much bigger fan, I think, of Are You Afraid of the Dark when it came right down to it. For the shows. Now the books, she read a lot of Goosebumps books. So, as far as comics work, I got to say that Stein, his scripting has been average to slightly above average as far as the reception of modern audiences for it. This is just based on the past critical and reader assessments. At first glance, the Graveyard Club, it fits into the median to lower end of that scale. But if you take the time to look closer at this, I think that your assessment will elevate it. So, a breakdown of this first story. High school seniors Parker and Patty are a couple. A couple clinging tightly to one another as childhood days are making way into more adult days, with the cemetery surroundings in the town of Gravesend, their personal playgrounds, but becoming their past. They, along with classmates Caleb and Tripp and Rhonda, are a self-proclaimed graveyard club, making the most of their teen sunset in anticipation of the adult dawn approaching. Unfortunately, local police officer Ray Higgins has it in for them, as does his son, football hero and all-around bully, Billy Roy. And where the club members are prepping for their college careers and breaking into the job market and all the things awaiting them, and putting their misty graveyard childhood days to rest, with one final season where they can enjoy hanging around the cemetery and doing their kind of parties. Higgins, both of them, are trying to also get in their last bullying and pranks with the goth kids, against the goth kids. That's just that's the tone here. As a parting shot, the Graveyard Club youths begin embarking on a game of revenge. Actually, one-upmanship revenge that slowly devolves into horrific brinksmanship. So that leads to a confrontation pitting friends against foes, and with a satisfying blurring of those lines before the first arc in this book winds down. Stein at first, he registers sort of off center regarding cause and effect rationale among the cast of characters. Several times, club members who didn't seem to be present when a scene began walk in or part of it, and they blurt out some observations which don't quite track given what we know. Characters are described as being one way, but their actions don't really support that as we read it. Rhonda, for example, she is said to be quiet, the quiet member, multiple times. But when it comes time for the characters to talk and the relationship up to that point, she doesn't seem to be quiet at all. Such as it is, her reticent nature, they say, but I don't know. Parker's father also. We find out the backstory of him disappearing 5 years ago before the story begins, and under suspicious circumstances. And even though Gravesend isn't a large community, when Rhonda starts talking to Parker about both their fathers disappearing at that time, 5 years ago, it's news to him, which in a small community just seems odd. Not odd, exactly, for the style of Goosebumps. There was let's face it, the early Goosebumps work, there were a lot of circumstantial things that modern and more mature readers would go, that's convenient. We still get that somewhat, even though it's an older set and a modern take. But if you look at it as a dream people appearing randomly, and the rationality suspended, in lieu of a stream of consciousness creepiness, the sort of odd circumstances that we accept more readily than during waking hours. The story unfolds like that, and with similar unearthly fashions. If there is intention, if it's intentional, it's, I think, appropriate. As long as it's not, as long as it isn't Stein not quite working on all levels. Either way, it doesn't prevent the first arc from closing its curtain with a character-driven fanfare, and a good one. And a satisfying kind of whodunit feel about it. So there's plenty here to make future graveyard trades work. They establish some mysteries that will be the focus on the future ones. So the artwork of Cara Liborelli adds the right elements of young adult horror with teen amour and some gum swapping lip locks and the unrequited love elements. When it comes to gore and violence, she also delivers that in the full range of what's going on, but successfully reins in visual carnage on display so that it doesn't take it too far into the, past the teen level. The volume is described in solicitations as Breakfast Club in a Graveyard. The first entry, I think, lives up to that. Throw in a little bit of Sun Tzu and Scream, light, added flavor for readers who tune in for such things. I think they'll be happy. For readers that like more detail, and they tune in to get the details, the somewhat surreal flow of events, punctuated by coincidence, may test their patience. Exposition presented for the readers between two characters who already experienced the same happenings, leaving no reason for them to discuss them, except to let the reader know. That'll test everybody's patience. But, it's what it is. It is what it is. The decision to, I don't know, the marketing decision, I'm not sure. Like I said, I wouldn't have bought it. Unless my daughter was interested. I'm sorry, what?
I think it's Stein is used to writing for the middle school crowd. Because that's, for the longest time, that's who were buying his books, the kids between 9 and 14.
Mhm.
I think when you're used to writing for that age group, you kind of fall into certain things that work for that age group.
Mhm.
And then when you expand to a different age group, he's trying to, you know,
Mhm.
because I don't think he's maybe quite realizing that that group of kids are now adults with kids of their own.
I think he
They're
does. I
tasting
don't
what,
know how well he acclimates to it, but
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He
right.
may, he's so used to writing. It's like if the guy who wrote Arthur got up and,
Mhm.
excuse me, decided to
Yeah.
write Batman.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And again, marketing to put them in trades, it kind of makes me feel like maybe Boom doesn't have the confidence, and not just because of the stuff that he's known for or that he's trying to update, but also because if you look at his comic book, the reception of his work in comics, um, not just for the Goosebumps type stuff, but other things too, it's been more average. Excellent youth writer once, comic book writer for the modern day. Okay. Yeah, okay. But for fans of Stein and for anybody seeking a YA horror title to get them into an autumnal frame of mind, the Graveyard Club Revenge Game #1 has sufficient funeral procession fuel to take you there.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, as an opening selection for the Halloween season, it's going to get my score of 7 haunted masks out of 10.
Not
Ooh.
7 bumps.
I'm probably not doing 7 slappy the dummies, but
Yeah, that would be excellent. The dummies, the seven
Oh,
slappies,
wow.
7 slappies.
but now some of my favorite stories were the masks. So
Okay.
Right.
This would be something to kind of look into.
Mhm.
Reading wise, I finally just got hold of The Fall of Numenor because, I'm the Tolkien freak in the house. And so, and I love it because it's not the book I thought it was going to be,
Hmm.
but in many ways it's better.
Oh, good.
So that because if you're people forget Christopher Tolkien, if you look at the Book of Lost Tales, Volume 1 and 2, the Lays of Beleriand, um, the Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle Earth, etc. Christopher Tolkien edited those stories, and so you see his footprint on this, and he is in many ways as much of a scholar as his father was, a little more modern perhaps in his choice of language, but still very much. And they've taken his father's work and he's now describing what Numenor is. So you not only go, oh, it's this island, it's star shaped, but he's telling you what all the different arms are named and what the center is and their heights and the animals. And so you're learning about before we get into the story, we're learning about the history of Numenor and what that you're getting a really good idea of what the physical, because for the longest time it was just Numenor, which, like Atlantis, sank beneath the waves. But you didn't know like what other than the Menotarma, which is this mountain that they have on the island, the highest peak, you didn't know what the woodlands were like, what type of birds there were, what the birds were like inland, what the birds were like on the shore, what type of sea creatures came around the island and whatnot. Were there animals on Numenor before the Dunedain got there? So they're going through it, and I love it because my next project, I was talking to my counselor about it. It's going to take a lot of world building. So looking at what they're doing is like it gets the what if machine going, because it's like, oh yeah, I've got to create all these different great houses, and what are their crusts going to be, and what are the planets going to be. What are those languages? Do I need, how much of a language, even if you don't show, and I didn't realize this until Michael Dorn was playing Worf. There is a book on Klingon. The Star Trek Bible, as they call it, is several volumes, and there is a Klingon language book. It is a nice, thick, lovely book of Klingon, which is wonderful. It's like, okay, so they didn't have screenwriters just making stuff up. In all those scenes, they actually had, to sit down and go, okay, this is what Klingon is based on. So when you write anything, it has to stay within these parameters, and I love that. So I'm really, if you're a Tolkien fan, this is definitely a book to read, depending on how deep of a Tolkien fan. There are Tolkien fans who only want to read, they want to read the trilogy. And I've come to accept that, okay, some people are only going to want to read the trilogy, like, certain other people. I like to read. I read a lot of Tolkien. So, I love this, but I will say I'm weird in that regard, because I love the world building. And you get to see, and they actually show parts of letters that he's written, that he talks about how the stories that he had done, at least 10 to 15 years of groundwork work before he started The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, that he had built all of that on this foundation of all these stories and partial stories and stuff, which is because people are like, well, why does it feel that real? It's because he's given the mythology a mythology. So that's why it feels so real. He's given the mythology a mythology, so it feels like it's grounded in something. So I'm kind of like, on the one hand, it's sort of like, oh, that's really scary, because I don't want to spend 15 years just working on the groundwork. But at the same time, it's like, oh, okay, that's really great, because it gives you an understanding of what it takes to create that. And even Star Trek, they didn't start out that way, but by the time they had gotten around to Star Trek The Next Generation, they had volumes of stuff on, and also and also because people helped build that lore, you had so many different novels, Star Trek novellas and stuff that had been written and published, so that they had this wealth of source material that they were able to mine.
Let's admit it, at our age, we're looking at just how deep into the well we want to go with
with just about anything.
Yeah. How much are we going to be on, or how much are we going to be able to be on board for here? No matter how much we like it. So,
And I will say, I am very grateful for my Kindle, because I realized today that if it wasn't for Kindle and Audible, my house would be drowning in books.
Yeah.
Or you be like me, you have a storage area where there's just nothing but comics, taking up the majority, and the other half is taken up by statues and video game stuff.
I can't afford that. So it's like, this is what I call the poor chick's library.
The modern poor chick's library.
It's the modern poor chick's library. It's the modern poor chick's library. It's like I have 1, 2, 3 bookshelves, and they are pretty much loaded with books, you know. And it's like, okay, I don't have any more room for any more books. And
I saw a guy's site this week that I don't know how to take it's tongue in cheek, but he actually has used books to build up shelf space for his brick collection, which he has some actual really cool old bricks with the foundries and the names and all that stuff on them, that are very different and interesting, but
cool.
it's just kind of a switch.
Instead of having bricks that house all his books, he's got books that
to make
house
shelves.
all,
Yeah.
and cushion all his bricks because those bricks is delicate. It sounds interesting. If you get a picture. Speaking of which, I have got to take a picture of the back of that book so I can send it to you, because it's got the code on that for the book I need to do the review of. And do we have a date for when we need to record this and how we're supposed to do it? Like, are we doing it individually and submitting it?
For what do you mean?
I thought we was live for that.
It's gonna be live
for
the comics for kids
fundraiser.
Oh no, that's a live hour-long show.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Emphasis on hour. We can't do one of our shows.
So are we gonna dress up? Like, are we gonna wear like matching outfits and stuff like that? And,
if you want to do it, knock yourself out. I won't be.
I usually try to come up with shirts, or like I try to, like, if we're looking at like for some of the other shows that I do, some of the other segments, I will try to find a shirt of the character if I can, but sometimes you can't. You just have to kind of, if you're doing like Saturday morning cartoons, sometimes I have to go along with the Scholastic, the Schoolhouse Rock shirts, just because that'll fit. But
oh, maybe we can all sing Elementary, my dear. the two times song.
Oh,
Elementary.
I thinking about that. First thing that always comes to my mind when I think about Schoolhouse Rock is either Conjunction Junction or I Was a Bill.
I'm just a Bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill,
waiting to be a law.
They signed you, Bill. Now you're a law. Oh yeah.
Interjection was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Interjection, verb.
Interjection was fun. Figure 8.
Or my hero, Zero.
Oh
yeah.
Yes, my hero, Zero. Right now, everybody's like, "Oh, snore!"
What was the other one? 3 is a magic number.
Yes, it is.
It's a magic number.
A man and a woman had a baby. Yes, they did. Now 3.
A man and a woman had a baby. There was 3 in the family.
Because it's
and
magic
people can roll their eyes all they want. You show me something that worked on every level of schoolhouse interest and was actually something that would help you with your studies, whether it was history, American history, geography, numbers, or grammar.
Hey, Grammar Rock is not it's your grandma. It's not your grandma, it's your grammar.
That's right.
Grammar Rock is brought to you by Nabisco. Why on earth do I remember that?
Again, it's ingrained in us. That's what.
And we all talked about it. We would watch it on Saturday, and we would talk about it on Monday morning. Oh my God! Did you see the one they had after this show? Or they did this one after that show? Because it wasn't the same they had shorts, and it wasn't the same short after every, so many shows, and then there'd be a little Schoolhouse Rock thing, but it wasn't the same thing that morning. So you might have 2 or 3 different Schoolhouse Rock shorts.
Mhm.
And we would all talk about what our favorite was and why, and the smart teachers started watching
Mhm.
and would then go, okay, who saw this one? So let's run through that. And it made school so much. I was in middle school when that came out, and it made school so much. It's especially for the kids, excuse me, who would normally be struggling. It made things a lot easier for them. I think I've told that story about us doing the test when we had to do the Constitution test, and the kids remembering we the people.
Mhm.
Teachers just getting irritated with us because it's like, okay, sing that song again and we'll fail the whole class.
We had an 8th grade teacher that, and of course, he was teaching during the bicentennial, the build up to and during the
Oh
bicentennial
yeah,
years. So
1974.
yeah, so a lot of his teaching stuff was very much off the wall as far as he had us set up a we basically did a role play game where we were playing uh colonial business people and people that were trying to get this, to get a new form of government started, but starting with the financial part, he let us have, like, I remember this one guy ended up with a ship, trying to build ships and compete with the British to build ships and to have trade, and he ended up burning up his own business for the insurance. And one of the kids insured his stuff with British financiers and then burnt it. But it gave you an insight as to why, colonists were so upset at the time.
Mhm.
Couldn't get a fair shake, couldn't get
Yeah.
an even deal with the monarchy. And but it was very, very insightful. And then, he and his mother was a seamstress, and she made costumes for us to do a bicentennial play based on a weekly reader um, thing that they presented in the Weekly Reader called My Brother Sam is Dead. That was an adaptation of a play. And it was that was a wonderful year, was with him at our helm, because we've got a real feel for what was the beginnings of a new nation
Yeah.
and why. So,
But that was also in the age of, that was when we had more experimental teaching.
mhm.
And it was like, so, because I went to a middle school that had just been built, and it was very much sort of, you could tell the teachers were, I look back on it now, I couldn't tell then, but it was very experimental. We had this one teacher, I can't remember her name. She was a hippie, long, straight blonde hair, wore blue jeans and whatnot. The other teachers complained, so she finally started wearing a bra. But
Mhm.
she, for our reading comprehension, read us Dick Gregory's first autobiography.
Yeah.
And I can't say the name of it, but it starts with an N. And we used to read that book in class until parents got wind of it, and then we're like, well, you can't. And it's like, it's Dick Gregory's autobiography about his childhood. What am I doing? If you don't like the title, you should call Dick Gregory and complain to him.
One of our
And the school supported her, so we got to finish it. But it was a great time because there were so many things they were trying to do to see how to make learning easier.
Mhm. And
Especially,
more wide ranging. One of our literature teachers I mean, he loved Poe, and we got into a lot of the classics and stuff. But then later on, he delved into stuff, the curriculum that was offered for science fiction, and not just classic older science fiction, but also short story work,
Ooh.
Bradbury and things that were coming along, in the later part of the curriculum. I Some of the short stories, the modern day short stories, and Rod Serling, and some of the things that were scripts that were submitted for Hugo Awards and things. He was right there and presented those to us, so we got to sample them as kids.
Mhm.
My third grade reader, either third or fourth grade, um, had, and it was, and I don't think you could find this now, but um, anybody who's ever read the Martian Chronicles, because the Martian Chronicles, like Dandelion and Wine, isn't so much a straight out narrative. It's a collection of stories that then make an overarching story, more like the Silmarillion in many ways. But there is a story called The Other Foot, and it deals with, earlier in the book, it talks about when Mars was first opened up for colonization, Black folks were allowed to leave. And later in the book, after World War III, it goes back to the colony that the Black people have now created for themselves, and it's kind of like a Mayberry. It kind of has a sort of modern science fiction Mayberry, but very Mayberry-esque. Everybody knows everybody. You walk down the street, hey, how you doing? I'm fine, you type of thing. It's this very friendly community of people, and what happens is a ship comes down on their landing. The never-ending story. A ship comes down, and out of the ship comes this one white guy in his suit, and he comes and he's very tired looking, and he explains that World War III has taken place, and the Earth is becoming uninhabitable, and they only have so much for so many people to leave, but they don't have resources to come, and they can get off the planet, but hi Leia, they don't have the money to establish a colony, build and stuff like that. They don't have the resources to bring that. They can just bring people, and they ask, he asks, can we come live with you? And he's like, we'll do whatever you want. We'll work in your fields. We'll clean your houses. We'll keep your streets clean. Just, and they said, well, go back to your ship and we'll think about it. And of course, for about 5 seconds, everybody is like hog wild, and they start putting up signs, whites only toilet, whites only drinking fountains, and stuff like that. And an old man stops them and says, the shoe's on the other foot. And we have the ability to decide what to do. We can either become what we've hated all this time, or we can prove we're better than that. And I remember reading that story, and that was the story that made me want to be a writer, because I was just sitting there reading it, and we didn't cover it in the class, but because it would take me for 40 minutes of English, it would take me 10 minutes to get the assignment done. So the teacher was like, read something, and so I was just going through the reader and picking out stories. And I remember that it was like mind blown, the idea. It was, I was just blown away by it and stuff. And I loved it. Is still that, and the story about the house. The story about the automated house makes me cry. It makes me cry. And I would say read Martian Chronicles so that you will know, and that Leia will quit talking about it ain't a windbag.
But she got here. towards the end of the show, like normally. So I was just waiting for her to say, "Okay, I'm here. Start over."
No, she came in and said, "Oh, Elaine's talking." She must have been talking the entire 2 hours.
Oh, not at
Didn't
all.
let
We
the
had a
men
great
get a word in edgewise.
Also, James Blish's adaptations of the Star Trek, the original series, into short stories in adaptations in his books are what made me want to be a writer. And a lot of
Ooh.
those dealing with race and society, how it has, the opportunity for mankind to do better.
Is that the one with the one that Frank Gorshin was in, where they were the two different colors?
That was one of the stories. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
loved that. I've always loved that episode.
Mhm.
I've always loved that episode. I think that was one of the was that one of the first episodes that I ever saw.
Mhm.
It still doesn't beat the episode where they played this offshoot of poker, talking about if it happened to be this, that, or the other, that's a double quaalude. And this, that, or the other happened. I'm like, how did
Is that
he
I
get his
Mud?
way out of that situation by that dumb game? Is beyond me, because they were dead. They was dead on that gangster plane. They were dead.
Oh, that's right. That's the one where they've read the books and they've taken on 1930s New York or
Gangsters.
something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And so they're all gangsters. I love the scene with the kid where he's in the street going, "Yeah, yeah." He's pretending to be a gangster. It's like, oh my goodness. A piece of the action. It's called a piece of the action.
And it's just like they had to dress in the garb and everything, and they ended up getting caught, and guns are drawn, and this, that, and the other. It's like, how about we wager on our lives instead of you just take it? And then they came up with, I forgot what the name of the game was, but it's supposed to be like an offshoot of poker with these weird rules.
I think Scotty or whatever, they were just making it up as they went along.
Oh, yeah.
They were definitely just making it up. But I always love the end of that because Shatner sounds like he just came out of a production of Guys and Dolls, and he talks about, because they left a book behind that talked about the Federation and the formation of it, the history of the Federation, and what it goes. What if they come out into space and decide they want a piece of our action? But he says it like, he's trying to be Nathan Detroit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was the episode that he really broke the Prime Directive to so many times that it was just beyond ridiculous. It's like, this planet is developing. It developed into a gangster planet. Let it be.
Hey,
no, we about to change this.
The Prime Directive's already been broken. They're trying to fix, because the other crew left the book behind, and violate. I think it was they were like had an accident where the ship was. I mean, they didn't intend to.
The ship crashed or whatever,
and
they were there while they had to make repairs or get picked up.
Yep.
And one of the crew was reading a book on early 20th century gangsters and left it behind. And these people had picked it up and thought that this was like, it was their Bible.
Beyond their Bible. That was just how they were going to live from that point forward. Because these super beings came from out of nowhere, and that's how they live.
Yes, and it's like, and if you think about it, it's such because it just struck me, Galaxy Quest. It's kind of a homage to that episode.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of it is they've been thinking, they've been looking at transmissions of missions, not realizing they're watching a TV show. And it just struck me as like, holy crap,
saved our culture. It saved our people.
We need your help. Or better yet,
I
that's
got a
not
horse. I got a
right.
horse right here. The name is Paul
Paul
Revere.
Revere is the weather's clear. Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Oh my! I have to see if I can find that because I have not watched Guys and Dolls. Um, I, for after Halloween, I'm gonna set up a list of movies that would have like the Lemon Drop Kid because of um Bob Hope and what's her name do Silver Bells because he's convinced the mobsters, they're collecting money just as Santas and whatnot. And what is it? What's his name used to play Ed Mertz is in the movie. And the whole point of that song comes about because he's supposed to be singing Silver Bells, but he's threatening to beat people in the head with his bell. Kind of like, no, that's not. That's not what we're going for here. So yeah, that one.
She's up here like, I'll take up that challenge.
That one, I want to watch that one. I want to watch Guys and Dolls. Pocket Full of Miracles. I would also like to watch. There's also one, Betty Davis is in it. She plays Apple Annie. And I don't think it's Robin and the Seven Hoods, but it could be. No, this predates that. Betty Davis is playing Apple Annie, who I guess in New York mythology was this lady. She was a homeless woman. She sold apples, and a lot of the gangsters bought apples from her. And I guess she also would trade information. But her daughter is coming, and she's been telling her daughter that she's living a life that she's not living. And and all she knows are these hoods. So because they're the ones buying her apples. They're the ones who talk to her. Many of these guys, she's known them since they were, I think the way they put it in the movie, she's known them since they were little guys. She's seen them come up and stuff. And so they buy apples from her, mostly out of nostalgia and whatnot. And they all decide that because she's been sending what little money she makes to the daughter. So the daughter has grown up and she sent it to boarding school or whatnot. And it's like, really? You sold apples 5 cents each and you sent your daughter to boarding school? Okay. But the daughter, I think, is Anne Margaret. I'm trying to remember who the daughter is. But they help her do this scam on the daughter. She's not trying to get money, but she has to make the daughter believe that she's who she says she is, other than some poor woman on the street selling apples to gangsters. I gotta find it because that's when I would like to watch again.
I gotta get out of here, guys, because
it's almost 9 o'clock.
It's almost done, and I gotta finish the story so that I don't have to raise my grandkids selling apples on this.
I get it. I get it, Clyde. I get it, Clyde. Man, tomorrow is going to be another day for me. But I'm just like kind of like there, just like kind of like Rocky's just trying to keep myself awake right now.
So I guess we're gonna give our good nights.
Yep.
Sign off.
I do that.
This is my little friend. He's going to help me say good night.
Oh.
I've named him Nutsy because he's a little crazy. He sits on my lap. But anyway, so we love y'all. We love you coming in to check us out. Sorry, we weren't
any relation to what's his name, Drunken Crow or whatever it is.
No, he's a good crow. He's a good crow. He sits on my lamp and watches as I work. Isn't that right? Yes, that's very right. She works very hard. So, in fact, Nutsy's gonna do my outro. Hey there, I'm Nutsy the Crow. You wanna find Elaine? Just go to Facebook. Go to Facebook, look up Elaine Haygood, or look her up here on YouTube, Elaine Haygood. On Twitter or X, she's at LensCapper1, and the website is lenscaponline.com. Come.
Hmm.
It's been fun. Y'all behave. I gotta go find a corpse to eat.
Bye. Bye, Nutty.
Hey, I'm Clyde Hall, an elder statesman of geekery, and you can find me on Facebook at Clyde Hall, or Radiating Positive Vibes with author Clyde Hall. And on either one, we make at least one post every day to try to make your day better. We've got looks back at different kinds of nostalgia at times with old TV shows and things, but we also have looks at artists and different kinds of modern art and trippy art made with unusual mediums. I'm also on Twitter at CJ, or I'm sorry, CJ Hall 1984, or you can check out my Amazon authors page right down here. I'm currently part of the online comic book review crew at comicsbeat.com, aka The Beat. They're at www.comicsbeat.com, and part of the Comic Book Spectrum podcast team here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central on YouTube. In my spare time, I'm an independent award-winning author and a exhibiting writer at Stormgate Press. You can find me in their anthologies like Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West, right here, where they have Western new pulp stories, and also in Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, which is classic new pulp sci-fi, and if you like the adventures of daring aviator type new pulp, the Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland, volumes 1 and 2. I'm in that. And if you like these covers of all these books, part of the crew at Stormgate Press, he did all of these covers, and he is one of the assets, one of the people that brings readers to our tables at conventions and things, because he does such a good job. And if you, like me, are a fan of Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics, then you should stay tuned, because Joe is going to tell you how you can get Jeffrey Hayes and Plasma Fire Graphics to work on your next project.
And that is correct. So if you like what Clyde just showed you, take a gander at this little video that explains a little bit more.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
There you go. You've seen the graphics. You've seen everything that's there. Just give Jeffrey Hayes a quick little message there at plasmafiregraphics.com or his Facebook group for Plasma Fire Graphics. As far as I'm concerned, I will be doing double duty this upcoming Saturday. Why? Because we got our next Whatnot show at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on Whatnot. Just look for Silvolt on Whatnot. We will be selling comics and everything. We will have $1 starts and a couple of other things here. And on my other channel, From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher, we will have our next episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher there. I do thank those who are watching on the gaming channel that I have here of Silbolt 1. You know, that it was a mistake on my part here. I thought I had the other channel selected here. So for those who are normally on my gaming channel, this is a peek of what I do on the other side as far as the comics is concerned here. And all the other shows will be returning back on that channel from the Deso Small Press Publisher here on Saturday and back on that channel on next week here. So thank you for watching. As I always say, live life, grow, and be well. And unlike Brian K. Morris, who is the founder of Comic Book Spectrum, I don't care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. I will catch you guys next week, and we are out of here. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.